Yes, Mayor, we've got 3 speakers so far. Daryl Terrell, Sean Fortine, and Donovan Sadiq.
Thank you, ma'am. And we will give the 3 minutes per speaker. Mr. Darrell Terrell.
Hi, my name is Daryl Terrell. I live here in Moreno Valley. Good evening, everybody. I'm here to close a loophole in the state law to combat catalytic converters. The governor has signed into law Senate Bill 1087 and Assembly Bill 1740 that prohibit the sale of catalytic converters without legal documentation. It puts the burden of proof on recycling companies, and we don't see that same type of burden of proof placed on individuals. And so while a lot of those state regulations apply to core recyclers, there are no accountability measures for the individual who possess a removed catalytic converter. There are no state or federal laws criminalizing stolen catalytic converters unless a deputy witnesses the theft firsthand, which is rare. We cannot allow these folks to continue to victimize you, our community, your families, over and over again while facing no repercussions and no accountability whatsoever. We have to hold these criminals accountable. And that's why I'm here tonight and submitting into the public record an ordinance that would make it illegal to possess a detached catalytic converters without proof of valid ownership and help create more accountability. Really what this does is it closes the gap in what our deputies need to enforce any kind of state law. Deputies that I've talked to have said that there's no way to easily charge someone with a catalytic converter theft, short of actually seeing them with the tools committing the crime. The mere possession of a detached catalytic converter is not a crime. This proposed ordinance would shift that burden of proof onto the individual to provide documented proof of ownership or face a misdemeanor or even a felony charge that would carry a fine of $1,000 per catalytic converter stolen or up to 1 year in jail. Our deputies will be able to demand valid proof of ownership. It would allow them to begin to ask the questions and to create an additional level of accountability. It would allow them to enforce state laws by requiring individuals to provide documentation for the catalytic converters in their possession, a law that does not currently exist at the state level. We can do something about this locally. And so this ordinance is hope that we hold these people accountable, because these recyclers, the burden's on them, not on the people. You could go down the street with one, but if an officer could stop somebody that has one, say, hey, I need to see the proof. If they don't, you're taking them to jail and you have them out of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And if you could, please make sure to leave a copy with us or email it to us as well. Thank you.
The next speakers, Sean Fortine, Donovan Sadiq, and Tom Gerald Sr.
Hi, I'm Sean Fortine. I'm here to speak on crime. I have to admit our Sheriff's Department has done amazingly well with what they've been given. They're understaffed and for the size of the city, and this department has, for the last decade, not necessarily you people specifically, but this council has thrown the Sheriff's Department peanuts to keep the city safe, and really the city should be a lot worse off than it is if it wasn't for our police department. But it's probably not going to stay that way if we don't do something about it soon. I mean, crime is going up everywhere, and admittedly, our city is still kind of in the middle of the pack as far as ranking in crime stats. But crime is rising. It's all around us. It's violent crime. There's been a number of shootings recently, and quite frankly, these things are can be mitigated if we had a much larger police force and actually did aggressive parole and probation enforcement, because also one thing that's common among a lot of these violent crimes is that they're already well known to law enforcement, and they're already on a list of people that can't have weapons, and also on a list of people that can't or can be law enforcement can search them at any time. So, I mean, maybe they're not going to stay in jail for long due to Sacramento, but at least you can get try and get some of their weapons, get their drugs, get other stolen stuff and other contraband, and at least get them off the streets a few days. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. Just make it hard for them to be make it hard to be a criminal in Moreno Valley, and make it hard to get word out on the street that it's inconvenient to be on parole or probation or a sex offender in Moreno Valley. So I'll help you consider making some serious adjustments to your priorities, your financial priorities, and provide a much larger sheriff's department that can take care of this whole city in a timely manner. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Donovan Sadiq, Tom Gerald Sr., and Russell Schaefer.
All right. Good evening, council, staff. You guys kind of know why I'm kind of here today. I'm kind of happy. We got that Adrian Mitchell Park thing going, and I thank the staff who basically I have worked at for a very, very long time, and they did everything that they told me they were going to do. So I'm going to strongly recommend to fellow citizens and neighbors out there, when you don't understand the process. Now, I'm coming out of the military, so even if we spend our whole budget, and those of you guys that were in the military, you know what I'm talking about. End of the physical year, they give you that P card and they say buy, buy, buy. Because when you don't use it, you're going to lose it. The only group I think ever gave money back was the Marine Corps. They would always try to give money back. So I want to thank the staff for doing that. Daryl Terrell, Pete Bleckert, the late Miss Baca, and her daughter, who's up there as well, that was championing all this stuff. It's a long time coming, and I really, really appreciate it. But what I really want to talk about tonight is we're talking about these committees and everything that's going on. We have a air show that is coming up this month. 2 years ago, we have a semi-air show that happens. 2 years ago, that air show came in here for a weekend, and I believe there was over 250,000 people that showed up. That's a lot of money and a lot of revenue in a weekend for the local businesses and things like that. But here's the problem. If you've seen my email, and I hope it was forwarded to the council and the rest of the staff, we need a military committee. And I think that's a committee that would be very beneficial with our relationship to the base. Yes, we have a representative on the council that goes to these little military things, but the base has a retiree office. And what that retiree office does is explain some of the benefits to the guys that are getting out and retiring like myself. Recently, my neighbor passed away, and his family came to me and says, well, what do we do? How do we do these things? Because you don't have to be in the military to understand some of the benefits that go there. And the city has no representation to direct some of these families that don't know what to do or how to even access the military. We have a national cemetery right up the street. We are in a prime location to win here. We are the 7th largest area, the Inland Empire, of military veterans, the 7th largest. And the 2nd biggest city in Riverside County does not have a military affairs committee to where regular citizens who have no affiliation other than Uncle Paul, who was in the Army, they don't know what to do. They don't know the burial things. They don't know, how to, they don't have any liaison to do that. And to help the staff in the city, if we had a committee of veterans that are sitting up there, and this is an idea that was given years ago by Scott Heverin. We need to revisit that and maybe make that a reality. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Tom Gerald Sr., Russell Schaefer, and Bob Palomares.
Tom Gerald speaking on behalf of myself, Mayor Cabrera, Mayor Pro-Tem Delgado, members of the City Council, staff, and the public, both here tonight and watching at home. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to support Daryl Terrell's comments about the catalytic converters. I wasn't planning to speak about that, but yeah, it's a hot potato, and I think get one stolen, it's like over $1,000 to get it replaced. So that's a big headache. And we're so environmentally conscious, and you're taking away a prime item that even if it's temporary, but it's very expensive, impairs the car. And nobody should have to go through that. So I drive a prime target vehicle. So also, and on a related matter, something that maybe you could, if you do take action on that, and I do hope you look at it, maybe a good study session thing, is the theft of electrical components, particularly from commercial centers, which is highly dangerous. Could cause a fire. I'm surprised more people have been killed, but it knocks out the power, and it's very hard to get these parts, so it impairs the vendors and so on and so forth. And it goes on quite a bit. So and that would be something that's similar, and I think we could take a look at it. And then on the veterans need, there used to be a city committee for veterans back in the day, in the early days, and I think they had trouble with staffing, but I support that. I think it'd be a good thing given the amount of veterans in the area and the history of the community. Came off of March Air Force Base. And then glad to see our firefighters get some well-deserved acknowledgement, and continue to give kudos to our planning, building safety, and community development departments. They got a, I was thinking, I didn't get to say it last time, but that's the engine of it. I mean, that's what we ring the register, and not only the initial fees that are taken in, but those entities that are built, they pay property taxes, they provide jobs, it's ongoing revenue in perpetuity if it's done right. So, it's a very, very important thing. My slip I wrote down for my subject matter, zombies. And what I'm referring to is these people that we see not only at night anymore, but they're milling around, and our governor did an inane thing, took away the jaywalking statute, which I thought was stupid. And, I've personally almost had an accident, I think 9 times now, including one in broad daylight, and where I had just turned, it was right at Day Street, and I had the sun in my eyes, but luckily I was going slow, and some guy darted right in front of me, and that's a busy signal. It's like 5 in the afternoon. So, I think they have a death wish, some of these people, but, we need to do something about these people that are, it's just a big problem. And I'm not a big advocate of all the French policies, but maybe the Yellow Jackets is something to look at, and because at least you can see them. So thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Russell Schaefer, Bob Palomares, and Pete Bleckard.
Citizens of Moreno Valley, the first annual adult egg hunt was a fun event. A few kinks, but I'm sure they can be fixed for the next time. One thing will not be fixed is Ulysses Cabrera continued to break the rules. Everyone knew the rules and abided by the rules, except for the mayor. Rules were no children. This was strictly for adults only, not for you, Cabrera. You think you can do whatever you want. The city staff must be terrified to say anything to you, since they all know how you treat the city staff, your own fellow council members, and anyone who dares to point out what you are doing wrong. Would you have fired the staff for telling you that your son could not enter? Your excuse will be that you did not participate, but you have to put just to think of all the other 1,000 people that had to follow the rules. People had to get child care so they could attend this event. You even brought up your own stroller. A total disregard for the rules and the participants who were there. The flyer specifically said no one under 18, no children, no strollers. You should be setting the example. I even got a couple of emails from people saying they had to play rock, scissors to see which one's going to stay home to babysit the kid because they couldn't go. Even my grandson wanted to go with me. What do you tell your grandson? No, you can't go? It's ridiculous to me. Think about it next time.
The last 2 speakers are Bob Palomares and Pete Bleckard.
Good evening, Council. the gentleman, Sean, first of all, I always love to salute our fire chief and police chief about crime being on the rise, big times here in Moreno Valley. I mean, it's like it's popping up everywhere. It seems like, well, you know, if you catch somebody committing a crime, if they're prosecuted, there's a good chance they're going to get away with it. And if they're sentenced, if they're found guilty and they're sentenced, you know, if it's a felony, at one time they used to do 80% of the time. Then they dropped it to 65% state. Now it's at 50. So, you know, if they get a year, they'll be out in 5 months, 4 months. And, you know, just when we need to bring our police and fire up to par, K9 Corey and his cohort, Cabrera, are proposing to, you know, get rid of the K9s. And I want to salute K9, Jack, and Sky. They did a wonderful job the other day. But, you know, it seems to me that Cabrera is doing K9 Corey's bidding. One time I came here to the council and I asked him, that was right after Cordero had passed away, if perhaps he could have something, maybe a march to show appreciation for the sheriffs. He didn't even say a word. You know, that's a good idea, or yeah, maybe we should, or because he doesn't care about it. You know, one thing about Cabrera, don't listen to what he says, but look at what he does, because he has a way of monopolizing or manipulating. That's what I want to say. He knows how to do it. And, you know, like I said, somebody weaponized them, and we know who it is, K9 Corey. So the public needs to know this. They need to look at all the council members and what they do and what they say, because it'll tell you as time goes on. You know, somebody was speaking about their first 100 days. Well, they were just taking all the credit that obviously the city manager and staff do, and things from last year, as though if he had done them in his first 100 days, which isn't true. That's why the people that are out there listening, pay attention so you can see what your representatives are really up to. Thank you.
Next two speakers are Pete Bleckert and Luis Palomares.
Well, what happened up there in Washington, D.C. is the first start of socialism as it starts, because that won't stop. There'll be retaliations back and forth once you open that door. It happened here in Moreno Valley when we first got started. I was in the back room with Mayor Abadeba when they were trying to divide up this city. It was Day Street. Riverside City was going to take one half over there. The Duda company with Fritz Duda in that room. We're arguing he wanted to be in the city of Riverside, and Riverside said, no, we don't want no part of you. So a signal was given at that time. Norton, Supervisor Norton Younglove, shut down the meeting, come back out within about 15 minutes, and they said, there'll be, if you're going to incorporate all the property that belonged to the Duda company and all of their other stuff from Pigeon Pass to Clark Street up to the mountain is out. It's going to be a island between two cities. And then also, he made up the deal that Edgemont, the real Edgemont, not just Edgemont District, the real Edgemont would get a 3 vote. City of Riverside, City of Moreno Valley, or the county. That happened. So, and then after that, when we incorporated, and Bob's big boy, all the big wigs, along with the city council people, went in there to see who was going to get mayor. And you should have seen the fight that came back. People you could tell was mad, because the snake lady wasn't going to be there. Snidely Whiplash was going to be the mayor, and that's the way it was going to be. So the first is it's getting real bad, and it's sad to be that way. But it's starting right here with our mayor, belittling our city attorney. I don't think he has the education that attorney has or anything. He's kept sitting up there and trying to get what he wanted done when the city attorney told him, you have to go by the law. He didn't give a damn about the law. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He wanted to change the rules and do what he says. Now, I was there when he was at Edo Benvizi when Victoria Baca had him and Exion up there, and they were all talking real good, and he's standing there going like this, I'm praying for you, Edo. I'm praying that all your things will get done. I just need your support. Now, you were there. I was there. I supported him from day one when he was trying to get the workman deal with the airport thing he was putting out on the East End for Skechers. So if you want to know history, I was here from day one, and I'm really sad to see what happened today up there in Washington, D.C.
The next three speakers are Luis Palomares, Christopher Baca, and Roy Bleckard.
Don't start the clock yet, okay? Let me just get here and show my face, and then we can do it. Okay, breaking rule Cabrera. You're the mayor. You're supposed to set the example, and you break every rule in the book, just like you violated the Brown Act and you broke that rule. There's still an investigation, I believe, that's going on, and the DA investigated that also with you and Marcus. And they said, fix it or else. How embarrassing. How embarrassing to our city. Also, one of the speakers was talking about the Easter egg hunt. Wow. I hear it was great and all that. It was a lot of people there and all that. But the mayor shows up. Everybody got a babysitter. Everybody but, who is he? The king? Who are you that you could break the rules? And you've been breaking them all along with a lot of different things that have been going on. Are you above the law here? The pastor comes and prays here. Beautiful prayer. Hey, I try my bestest, but I'm a sinner saved by grace. But you're supposed to have yourself to a higher standard, and you don't do it. What's going on in our community here? When are you going to change it up? When are you going to follow the rules? When are you going to do the right thing by the people? Not by you, but by the people. Not for the 10,000 that voted for you. Wow. But for all the people, everybody across the community, the city here. Golly, I'm speechless today, because every time it's always something new. He always gives us more ammo and more everything to come up here and tell the truth about him. When are you going to get it, Cabrera? I just want to know. I am so sick of coming here. But every time there's another meeting, you make it that it's going to be my way. You're going to weasel it this way. You're going to try it that way. You're going to go, how many 75 different ways are you going to try before you get it? Like tonight, what are you going to do here? As far as the rest of the agenda, are we going to be here another 5 hours? I hope not. Another 5 hours? 4 hours? Shame on you. Shame on you, Cabrera. When are you going to grow up? That's all I want to know. When are you going to do the right thing for all the people, not just some of the people in some of the time, for everybody in the community, for our police, for our fire? They were getting recognized here today. Wow, that's great. But, the canine thing. 4 of the board members, council members voted yes when Ed Delgado, Mayor Pro Tem Ed Delgado made a suggestion, and you voted no. You voted no because you're with the Corey Jackson arena. You're with them. He gave you thousands and thousands to your campaign, so you owe him. Who's running our city? You, or should we say Mayor Corey Jackson? Are you the puppet on the string for him? That's what it looks like to me. That's what I'm hearing all across the city and on emails and everything else. That's what I'm hearing. Who's running our city?
Thank you.
The next speakers are Christopher Baca and Roy Bleckard.
Good evening, council, staff, and community. As a Native American and historically a victim of the genocide, should we ban white people? Or my point being, Corey Jackson is trying to get rid of the canine because historically, supposedly, they were used against black people. And I don't get it. I don't understand why anyone would consider getting rid of K-9 for our police department. I was just bringing that up because of the shooting that we had here on Sunnymead Boulevard on Friday. Was it Friday or Saturday night? Me and Tom Jarrell happened to have been in the parking lot of the Sundance, and I thought it was fireworks. It just kept going on and going on. And by the time I realized what it was, the sirens were already there. The sirens were going down, and we had a mass amount of police response to a mass shooting. So, I just want to commend our police department and what we have in our city, and we should be, rather than trying to reduce our services or try to get rid of something, we should actually try to increase that and, realize that, we have something good here in our city. I mean, it was impressive how they responded to a mass shooting that happened here. And luckily, thank God, our savior or whatever, we were protected and, there wasn't any mass casualties or anything like that. But it was a pretty awful situation. We had people running down the street screaming and, people with stubbed feet and legs because they ran so fast and tumbled on Sunnymead Boulevard. So, it was really a good response to our police department that they went there. And, if it would have been something more serious, I'm sure we would have got through this, something like that. So that's my point. I just want to commend our police department for their response. Thank you.
The last speaker is Roy Bleckard.
Mr. Sadiq brought up about the Veteran or Air Force Committee or whatever it was. We need to eliminate all the boards and commissions and everything. We only need one committee, commission, or anything. That's an anti-stupid committee. What Pete was telling you was this city was started freaking illegally. 100%. The first meeting at Bob's Big Boy, check that out, was an illegal meeting in the city. Just like the two Klondikes up there had the illegal appointments on October 19th of 2021. And we're still suffering from all of this. You cannot organize a meeting. You can't do it right. 100%. It's like the mayor pulled that, we'll just put all the appointments back on. We went through the study session. We were supposed to figure this all out, get the appointments. Elena was exactly right in her motion. What the hell is going on? Now, I could see the political move you were making, Mr. Mayor. And that's what you continue to do. Just like you continue to do each and every day that you sit up there when you put a usurper in office. You did not have the authority to legally appoint LaDonna Jempson to that council meeting today. And you can sit up there looking like that each and every day. And I sure as hell do not want an apology at this point. What I want is my city. You want to talk about native land? How many of you are a native of this city? My native land. I don't want it to be a laughing freaking stock of the whole world as it has been. We can stop that. We should stop that if we have the will to stop it. We should all start dealing honestly across the board. Yes, we can have better public safety at less cost. We can have a community that comes together and builds stuff from the ground up. You want to know why you ain't got a library? Go back and look at the records. Why don't some of you ask what the hell's going on? Because it's on the public record, and a lot of you were sitting in those seats when it happened. You don't acknowledge that. You never say anything about that. You just want it done your way to keep your political power or keep your basin in check. That's what the problem is. The problem is the attitude. The problem is the arrogance, and until that gets acknowledged or removed, the city will never move forward.
That concludes public comment, Mayor.